Yeah, we're streaming now.
Welcome.
Welcome in warning. This podcast that you're hearing is so organic and raw that it kind of sucks. It has awkward pauses and music that's beautiful and also events. Welcome. I'm Sai, and our other hosts can introduce themselves as well.
My name's.
I knew there were going to be important questions, but I didn't know about that. Oh, I don't know, man.
Sandwiches or communism?
We asked that to all our guests.
Why not both, man?
Philosophy or a nail?
Man, as far as sandwiches go, dude, I just had a po' boy the other day. Holy shit. Oh, so good.
What's the difference between a great po' boy and a bad po' boy?
The grease. More grease, better.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to be not sober in it. I've seen different things, but my favorite is like fried shrimp, that sort of thing. Fried shrimp, some lettuce, tomatoes, some sort of sauce. Yeah. Yeah, shit gets real good real quick.
A breaded and deep fried seafood on a sandwich.
Yep.
In little ball form. It's got to be like a bunch of little ones. It can't be like one big fillet.
Yeah. You don't want it. Yeah. Then it becomes. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bit much, I feel like. I mean, it's already like this,
Shaped.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
This song isn't a po' boy. It's a fillet of fish.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say some sort of existential dread. That is that is an essential ingredient, I would say. I don't know, that and that idea of like connecting to that sort of thing where it's like music that no one knows who wrote it, and it's just this kind of ephemeral kind of thing.
Well, that's kind of the opposite, ephemeral, and things so old no one knows who wrote them.
No, yeah, that's why, like, it's ephemeral. Like, it's just kind of in the air. Like, no one, it's just this thing that's passing through.
Ephemeral means it only lasts one day.
No, I mean like the creator, I guess, or like,
okay.
The impetus behind it. Yeah, the song is definitely not ephemeral. It's been around for sure.
So
but something ethereal can be eternal.
So,
yeah. There's kind of like a special sauce in this song that keeps it around, I guess. And I am definitely always aiming for that. And most of the time, if ever, hitting it. But it's a good goal, I guess.
the special sauce of the song.
Yeah, man.
I like it. So we dev development on Twitch. Started off with sandwiches.
Introduction to podcasts.
Welcome to podcast.
So podcast.
Please, Tom.
All right, should we go into the first song here?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for letting us hear your music.
This is a song by Tom.
This is a song by Tom, the sandwich man himself.
Take your thin mercury smile, the fire in your hair, cast it upside down till it's been called dead. Are you sure that the moon's been moving your mouth to the stars in the ship start sinking south? Ah, darling, oh, you look a little long in the face. Oh, darling, are you sure you can keep up this pace? Yeah, I've been swimming in film grain since 1974. Broken legs, so this country is just dragging its pull. It's sexless wreckage just collapsing on itself. The last laugh of a man who died by only the sun. Yeah, I know it's what he did.
Your voice is great. Are you just a natural singer, or did you have to struggle for that?
Yeah, not natural at all. Honestly, I'd probably been singing for about. I'm 27, so I started playing guitar in like the 8th grade, and I've been trying to sing ever since then. And my voice has seriously only probably came along in like the last 3 years, maybe. So yeah, it was definitely a long process.
What if it came together in the last 3 years? Was there any like thing that like locked it into place that like took you from whatever? What was it before you felt like it was your voice?
Well, it was a lot of phones, very straightforward, but for me, it just took a long time to like make that distinction of like, there is a way to sing words that has a musicality kind of to it. Like you can hit notes all day long, but it doesn't matter if it's if there's no emotion behind it, or if there's no like intent behind how you want to be singing it, then it just doesn't sound, there's just no kind of purpose there to it. And it just sounds kind of, I don't know.
Right.
Purposeless.
Singing is communication. And if it's just notes, it's abstract.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then I was listening to a lot of like Father John Misty and Bob Dylan at the time. And the idea of, and the idea of like, using irony to like give more context to certain lines, and singing some of them sarcastically and singing some of them earnestly, like that whole thing didn't occur to me for a very long time. And then when I finally kind of got that idea, it definitely cleared things up and made things a lot easier.
So if you were to like give it as an advice, you say basically remember to also add an inflection in addition.
Yeah, it's important to think about how you want to sing the words. And like so for the longest time I looked at lyrics as like poetry, and that it's just a form of writing. But that's probably the worst way you can look at it, because just you can add so much more context with your singing voice because you're saying the word. So I mean, all of that just adds an entire layer onto all the writing and stuff.
So what's the Thin Mercury Smile? Or the Thin Mercury Smile?
Yeah, well, that entire song is just basically a reference to trying to like capture the magic that was like Blonde on Blonde, Dylan's album, and just that sound. I don't know.
I'm not super familiar with Bob Dylan's Au revoir, but what is it about that album that like really inspires you?
It's just a very unique sounding album. Like Bob at the time was just like completely strung out on a bunch of stuff, and he described the sound of the album as Thin Wild Mercury. So the name of the song is Chasing Thin Wild Mercury. So it's just an attempt to try to like, I don't know, tap into whatever Bob was doing at that time.
So in a sense, the song too becomes sort of about chasing your heroes.
Yes, but also like kind of burying them at the same time, because it's it is a hard balance of like influence and that balance of like influence, and also not just literally doing the same exact thing. In that, I wanted to try to like put my own spin on that sort of thing, I guess.
What do you feel like your own spin was?
I would say I sing different than Bob, and I have a different sense of melody than Bob does too. And I would say I'm a little bit more earnest than he is. I would say that's maybe a bit more of a weakness. I think that's a huge strength of his music, but it's not easy. It's a hard, I would say, I guess.
So, a more earnest Bob Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways for sure, but also I have the benefit of, 40 plus years of music to kind of, digest and filter all that through. Plus, the internet is just a game changer with that sort of stuff. Like, I'm able to access stuff that just no one else would be able to, from that time era, just wouldn't even be able to at all.
You can access the entirety.
What's
of
the
human
wildest shit
knowledge.
you found?
I mean, not even necessarily like wild shit, but it's like, Bob Dylan didn't get to hear, music from the 90s, when he was recording all that. So I have all those melodic sensibilities and stuff that he might not have had back then, which, for better or worse, gives it a completely different feel, I feel like.
So,
Alex, what were you saying?
I said the internet has the entirety of human knowledge, and I was talking about this with like one of my music instructors when I was in high school, and he was saying like that we have a gift of the internet. We can access like any music we want to listen to at any time. We can just listen to it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is a double-edged sword because you do get a little bit. I don't know. I think limitations also breed a lot of creativity. Like I found almost all of my best stuff comes when I'm just like, on an acoustic guitar and I don't really have that much to work with. But yeah, the internet is definitely a game changer with that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, if you want to like learn how to play a guitar chord, you don't have to like get on a bus and ride to the next town over and like find like some guy that knows this guitar chord or something.
Yeah. I mean, in that regard, the internet is fucking amazing. Like I've learned so much about like theory and that sort of stuff, and there's just like, and before you're right. You just had to like know a guy.
Right.
Alex, did you get on a bus to learn a guitar chord?
I think I have before. But
I remember hearing stories like the Beatles, and they would like meet a guy who knew a chord they didn't know, and they'd all gather around and like learn this chord from him.
All right, we got a question from the audience. We have a few people in the audience today, actually. All right, so Jeremy says,
Thank you, Jeremy.
What's your opinion on layered vocals in recordings versus live sound?
I'm kind of the opinion that like the recording is the recording and the live sound is the live sound. I treat them as separate things. I definitely layer my vocals when I'm recording. At the same time, though, I do try to maintain some authenticity in the recording. Like almost everything that I record is something that I'm playing, or even if it's like a VST or like a virtual instrument, I try to play it on an actual keyboard. So there is some sort of like performance to it.
Performance, not just performance data.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know, man. Like so before all this, I actually used to write a bunch of like chill hop and stuff like that. I was really into jazz and like nujabes and stuff like that. And I eventually just kind of got burnt out on it because there's like no stakes, kind of, you know what I mean? Like if you're not performing, then I don't know. There's something inherently special and interesting about someone actually playing an instrument. For me, anyway. I mean, like I don't mean to disparage, and the other thing too is like there are a bunch of producers out there doing insane shit with electronic music in way more complicated ways than just programming notes or anything like that too.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of skill that goes into like production of that like electronic music. But yeah, actually playing an instrument has a different organic sound to it. It just depends on what you're looking for, I guess.
Yeah, and then as far as live goes, I am pretty old school with that. Like I think if you're gonna play live, you just gotta play live. Like I'm not a fan of like pre-recorded sounds or anything like that. I think you just have to play the music.
I saw a concert one time and the band's drummer couldn't make it, so they had a laptop with his
yeah.
They were just playing the part for him, and their laptop crashed halfway through the show. And they're like, "Oh, should we just start the song over and restart it?"
Yeah, man. That's fucking rough, man.
That's hilarious.
There's a VST plugin, I forget the name of it, but it's designed to crash your computer when you load it. And the idea is to simulate if you have your laptop on screen and it crashes, that'll do some unpredictable thing. So you can simulate it and practice in rehearsal what happens when your laptop crashes by using this VST that just adds random crashes to your DAW.
So
or better yet, just fake the fucking crash live and just like, oh man, we just gotta play it live now.
Yeah, and then you just whip out the acoustic guitar and a tambourine and you play a different set.
That's great.
Man.
Should we go on to the next song?
Yeah, sounds good.
See, this is The Catholic.
Yeah.
Russian era moonshine, survive the economy. We made our money the American way, on the back of others' knees. Men are drawn to the sea, but pigs prefer the bay. A smile and a wink, a few Catholic precincts, and the boy was on his way. Is there light at the end of the dark? Who shot Kennedy? Are we alone in the universe? Was Oswald a patsy? Well, I just need a little space. It's getting kinda crazy here. We conquered the sky and found that heaven was empty. It must be somewhere else, dear. Our spinning bullets don't exist. Don't tell me that magic's real. You can pray every day just to find your way, but you still end up getting killed. Is the light at the end of the dark? Who shot Kennedy? Are we alone in the universe? Was Oswald a patsy? Don't tell me it doesn't matter. Give me something that I can see. The footage is a little grainy, but goddamn, I want to believe.
So what really did happen to JFK?
That's my favorite. Man, I don't know. I'd say the mob, but there's just so much shit with it. That's my favorite stuff with it, though. It's like it's so unknowable.
Yeah. What is the mob theory? Can you tell the story?
Basically, it's so JFK was elected with the help of the mob because the mob, had ties to the Kennedy family, because the Kennedy family actually got their start by like running bootleg liquor during the Depression back in the day. And so they had a lot of ties with them. And then about, I don't know how far into his presidency it was, but his brother Bobby started going after the mob at a certain amount of time, and that definitely was not popular among them. So you have Oswald, who kills JFK supposedly during that whole fiasco, and then while Oswald's being taken to jail, Jack Ruby kills him, and Jack Ruby is a guy who had extensive ties to the mob. So there's just a bunch of fishy stuff all mixed up in it, but the best thing about it is like no one's ever gonna fucking know, like, really.
Yeah, that's fertile ground for fiction.
Yeah. I mean, that's the entire song itself is just kind of about the unknowable. Like, it's I really love the idea of like exploring. Like, JFK is just such a perfect character for like. I say character, like I don't even think of him as a person really. Like, he's just a very convenient character in a narrative because he has so many intersecting things. You have like, this American exceptionalism, and then like He's almost more of a myth than a man at this point.
Yeah, I think that is kind of the natural course of politics, though. I mean, like, if you compare the real founding fathers to the musical Hamilton.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a stark contrast because, like, you know, there's this mythology built on top of other mythology, and
yeah,
it just becomes about stories that we want to tell people for like the values within them.
Absolutely. I find that shit fascinating. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, and then it's like, you know, who gets to tell what those stories are? Like, what are the myths themselves? And then, like, who decides what the stories are going to be, and like, how does that come about? Because it's not like one person on high is just saying this is what it is. It's just a thing that kind of, you know, there's structures that kind of guide it slowly over time.
And then there are the catchy details that just sort of like catch on.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's the most ridiculous conspiracy theory you've heard that makes no sense to you at all?
Oh man, it's got to be like the flat Earth shit, right? Like,
that's a good one.
Yeah, I think that one does take the cake because you just have to be like in so far at that point.
You can observe it though. You can easily observe the Earth being round. Like you can get a balloon.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. You have to be, because if you're a flat earther, you're also a person who's like, yeah, we didn't go to the moon, and also we don't have anything in space. Like, you're already deep in it at that point.
So you have to be really deep, yeah.
Yeah. And also, some planes or some flights listed on websites are fake.
Oh yeah, that whole thing. Yeah,
they're round.
Yeah. Yeah, that one definitely takes the cake.
But what's the craziest one that is like plausible to you? What's another one that like grips your imagination? Because if you just ask about the ones that are trash, you only hear about trash. I want to hear some like.
Well, it's not crazy if it's plausible to him.
Well, I mean, a conspiracy is still a conspiracy. Yeah, even if it's true. Like, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't really have any that are like that crazy. Yeah,
you ever heard of Operation Acoustic Kitty?
No, I have not.
This is a real thing. If you look it up, you'll find lots of sources about it. This was a CIA project to spy on Fidel Castro. And their idea was that they could surgically implant a cat with recording equipment and then train it to go follow Fidel Castro around and report back important information via radio.
See, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like, that's the thing. It's like But
think about it from a conspiracy perspective. Like, the government has cats that they filled with surgical radio equipment to spy on communists.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, that stuff would not surprise me. I mean, as ridiculous as it sounds, like some of the stuff we've done, like, I mean, there are, you know, we have facts about certain things that we know, and they're not even conspiracy, like Gulf of Tonkin stuff, where, you know, false flag to start Vietnam, like that shit's just right out in the open. And yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if we tried some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
What was the other one? The whole MK Ultra thing.
The mind control one.
Yeah.
What would be your keyword if you were an MK Ultra agent?
Yeah, it would have to be something like super innocuous, but also like you know, it can't just come up in like regular conversation, you know. It'd have to be like, I don't know, the red guitar pick or something like that. It'd have to be like super specific.
That's pretty good.
By the way, Acoustic Kitty, that project ended when their first test cat, they deployed it in Cuba and it got hit by a taxi immediately.
Oh man.
No, dude.
And they didn't train any more cats. They were like, this is too much effort. This is a bad
It probably
plan.
cost them like $40 billion. Yeah. And then the
cats
are about $1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million is about what they spent in 80s dollars on this.
Oh, in 80s dollars? Oh man, that's like 100 million then.
The 80s, back when things had value.
Yeah.
Back when the dollar was a dollar.
Japan used to have dollar. They used to have cents in Japan, but now it's just only full yen.
I keep thinking, like, when are we gonna get rid of the penny?
I hope it's soon. They're
Like,
just sitting around my
never.
room, like on the shelves
Yeah.
and shit.
Not even worth the effort to pick them up. What do you think it is that holds back the abolition of the penny?
I don't know, man. The fucking big penny lobby, you know, keeping that shit on. No. No, yeah.
Sell more
Yeah.
copper,
Yeah.
so they mind controlled the government with.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it's
I don't know. It's probably just a thing of like, we literally have like probably a fucking billion pennies out there. It's like, how do you just, yeah, what do you do?
Oh,
can
you just stop
producing
making them. That's all.
Yeah, you stop making them, but what do you do with all the ones that exist?
They're still legal currency, but eventually,
Okay.
you try to find some, like place that collects them, and when you collect them, you don't distribute them back.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
I
think
feel
there's
like that would be so expensive, though.
No, it would save money because all you'd actually have to do is stop making pennies, and the ones
Yeah,
that
I
are
guess
out
that's
there,
true. You wouldn't have to
there's still
produce them
money.
anymore. Yeah, that's a good
and
point.
eventually they come back to you in some form, and you just don't redistribute them.
Doesn't it cost like 2 cents worth of materials to produce a penny or something?
Is it up to 2 cents now?
It's
I know it was
between
more
1
than a
and 2
cent.
cents.
Yeah, it did cost more than a penny.
It's 1.5 cents.
Damn.
Thank you, Andrew, with
So,
our
The
fact-checking
facts
department.
guy.
So here's the real question: what do you do with all the pennies that you get back?
Melt them
Melt them.
down, make
Yeah,
weapons,
just melt them
zinc.
down. Yeah.
use them
And
to
they-
promote the empire.
Make guns.
Zinc guns. Yeah.
Just like in The Simpsons. Do you remember they had that short educational film about zinc, and the pistol mechanism was the thing that was made out of zinc, and he wasn't able to kill himself in a world without zinc. I don't want to live in a world without zinc.
But I think the reason that we still have a penny and certain things is because there's a tendency to resist change when things have been a certain way for a long time.
Yeah, man. Fucking yeah, get rid of it. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I'm over pennies.
All right, let's go to the next song. We've got one more song, right?
Yep.
The Dow's up today. Take 2 demo.
Oh yeah, this one's a little bit rough around the edges, but it's still a fun song.
This entire podcast is rough around the edges, so I think it fits.
Yeah, yeah.
Life is rough around the edges, and if you can't handle that, then you don't deserve podcasts.
Yeah, what's up? My podcast. We're almost done. We got
Harmony in my life. We made some money today. I rang up customers' items in a stay away, turning stocks into money like water into wine. These Pharisees are all I see. I'm out to get what's mine. I walk the eightfold path with a handful of cash. I hung from a gold cross while selling replicas. Oh, what can I say? The Dow was up today. Oh, delivering sermons is just an old sales technique. Maybe so is writing songs, but at least it's more mystique. We're not shattering samsara, one song at a time. Do you believe in wake-up calls that sound like lullabies? I walk the eightfold path with a handful of cash. I hung from selling replicas.
I think that one was my favorite out of the three, actually.
Yeah, that follows away. Sorry.
Yeah, I
I
tried.
thought that had a strong melody and a through line, and the lyrics felt thoughtful and well enunciated. It was really easy to follow them the whole time.
Yeah, I was definitely that song more than the other ones probably rely on the lyrics the most, I would say.
You said it was rough around the edges, but I think when you record something and you listen back to it, you're like, oh man, I messed up the fingering on that chord or something. But I don't think anyone else notices when they listen to it.
Yeah, well, no, it's just for me. It's just a guitar and a voice and not much else, and it was all done in like a live take kind of thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the over compression thing the other ones have.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Like it's way easier to just record a guitar and a voice. Absolutely.
So clarity helps. Clarity always helps.
Yeah.
So what's the
well, that's the
future?
other thing too. I've been working on a lot of production stuff. Production, honestly, is like way harder than any instrument I've approached.
There's a
It's
lot of
all the
details.
instruments
Yeah, it's
and the
ridiculous.
entire song and the songwriting and performance, but you can't perform it in real time.
Yep.
So what's the future for your music, and is SoundCloud the best place to listen to your music?
Yeah, at the moment, definitely. I'll probably at some point. I've been trying to get an EP together to put out on Bandcamp, but yeah, until then, SoundCloud probably the best spot.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming on our podcast. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So if
I have one more question for you, Tom.
Yeah.
do it.
Is there anything that you feel like we should have asked, but idiots like us, we didn't know to ask this important question?
No.
What drink do you have with your sandwich?
Oh dang, that's it. We gotta expand.
Yeah, man.
My favorite drink lately is True Juice. It's where you take
True juice.
I don't want to know. What that
lemon
is.
flavored seltzer water and lemon flavored drink powder, and you combine them together to create a true flavor. True Juice.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, we have links to Tom's music in the description. Make sure to check out our podcast. We're on like literally every podcast platform. So
Everything.
we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on what else? Facebook, Spotify.
Oh, you know what we
iTunes.
need to get on
What?
NPR's website next to This American Life.
Until
we're there, we're
that's a
nothing.
goal. That's a goal. Okay.
Maybe one day.
All right, should we wrap it up, guys? Got anything else?
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Much love.
Yep.
Toodles.
Thanks, guys.
Eat a mushroom sometime. Have fun.
Whoa, man.
Like I didn't say what kind.
Shiitake.
The magic kind.
You guys said the same
Portobello?
thing, so I don't know what. Shiitakes are magic, is what I.
No, shiitakes are